This is the birthplace of our Dakota people. Yeah, right here. It's kind of our Garden of Eden.
Located at the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary, there is the remnants of an entrance to a cave, which is sacred to the Dakota people. Wakan Teepee, or as many call it, Carver's Cave.
Our people did go into this cave very respectfully. It's a very sacred place for us. We call it Wakan Teepee. And Wakan Teepee means like a sacred dwelling place. And inside the ceiling of that cave were drawings, what they call petroglyphs. And those drawings were of animals, like the buffalo, and maybe turtles, snakes, horse, bear. Then in 1766, we had Englishman, Jonathan Carver, who came to this cave and met our Dakota people.
Then he heard that there was going to be a big conference of the Dakota at Wakan Teepee. So he came back in the spring, and about 8 bands of the Dakota met here.
And he carved his English coat of arms in the cave, and ever since then they called it Carver's Cave. It's Wakan Teepee.
We got a train coming through making all kinds of noise. This is what the Bruce Vento Sanctuary is known for. Trains, planes, and automobiles.
The land that the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary occupies wasn't always bombarded with the constant rumble of trains. Back in the 1860s, railroad tycoon J.J. Hill wanted to build a line through the area, but Wakan Teepee was in the way.
When J.J. Hill came through with the railroad, he blew up with dynamite the cave, which used to be over our heads here. It used to be above us here. And so we want to be very respectful. So to think that dynamite and blowing this up to build the railroad, and then they took the trees out and they planted wheat instead of our corn, and they made the flour mills in Minneapolis, you know. So I've been spending, I don't know, 30, 40 years trying to understand our Dakota language and these words that explain something about this river and the name Wakan Teepee. And without my father here, I wouldn't have understood these things.
Jim's father, whose Dakota name translates as "stand out in front of Black Buffalo Bull," is one of the last 8 or 9 first language Dakota speakers in Minnesota.
This is quite a place here. It brings back a lot of memories, and good memories and bad memories.
It's our genesis, the place of our genesis where the rivers meet, but it's also the place of our genocide. Because if you follow this river up to what they now call Fort Snelling at Makoche Chokayaking, Witatanka, the big island there, they rounded up all of us Dakotas in 1862, and they didn't want us here. And they made a law.
Following the U.S.-Dakota War of 1862, which was a conflict between the Dakota people and the United States over treaty violations committed by the U.S., 38 Dakota Indians were hanged in a mass execution in Mankato, Minnesota. In 1863, a federal law was passed banning all of the Dakota people from Minnesota.
What's amazing is we are here, I guess illegally. We're breaking the law to stand here by this beautiful sacred tree, the Changwakang, at Wakan Teepee. There's still a law today in Minnesota that says that the Dakotas had to leave. This summer was an attempt to repeal that law, and certain representatives didn't want to even sign it. We know 1862, 1863 was a very hard year, but it's been a long time, and this is a place of healing and restoring. Hopefully that we are like these trees, these young ones. We can come back and recognize our birthplace.
Well, when the glacier started retreating from this area last year, I'm joking because of the snow, but when the glacier started retreating from here 12,000 years ago, it led to the formation of a huge lake in southern Canada and northern Minnesota and the Dakotas called Glacial Lake Agassiz.
Glacial Lake Agassiz no longer exists, but when it did, it held more water than all of the lakes in the world today combined. When it began to drain, it drained into the glacial River Warren, which is a parent of the Minnesota River, a tributary to the Mississippi River. This gigantic, prehistoric lake carved the Minnesota River Valley and led to the formation of the Mississippi River.
And the Mississippi forms an important migratory flyway. It's the most important migratory flyway in North America. And putting some green habitat, planting more trees will enhance that migration route.
The restoration of Bruce Vento, along with the plantings of the rain garden, helped to create habitats for birds and butterflies. But really, when anyone plants a rain garden, that rain garden also serves as a habitat for birds and butterflies. So, if you plant a rain garden, you not only cleanse the water, but you also help promote wildlife. That's 2 feathers in your cap for you.
The ecological component of these rain gardens are that they provide butterfly and bird habitat in addition to this water quality piece. And then this rain garden connects to the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary because they're adjacent to each other, and kind of between the rain garden and the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary, next to that is the Sweet Hollow Park. So we get this connectivity of ecological systems going where we have Bruce Vento, rain garden, and then Sweet Hollow. And we're trying to kind of be that, create that ribbon of connectivity that ecologically things can migrate through safely.
Oh, look at our relatives here. Wambadi. I have a song maybe we'll sing for them here. They like the song, I think. Waka taka toka heya che wakielo.
The Mississippi Flyway actually is a corridor for birds that migrate from as far as the southern tip of South America all the way to the Arctic and northern Canada. They come right through here, and there's about 326 bird species that use the Mississippi Flyway. And I can remember the day that we restored the pond on this property about 3 years ago, and within an hour an egret showed up and landed on the shore.
Holy cow! An egret? An egret needs shallow-sided ponds or streams to stand in and fish. And these ponds are the first wetlands on this site since before the railroads. It has been about 150 years since the egret has been welcomed in this area.
And now we have egrets, bald eagles. There was an osprey feeding here. We had about 6 hawks here the other day when we were doing a prairie burn. There's warblers that come through here in the spring. Waterfowl that use the ponds already, but it's because it's part of this larger flyway that this place attracts birds, and it's right at a bend in the river in downtown St. Paul, and yet year-round we have bird life here. I think the fact that there's so much interest by so many people has kept propelling this project forward, sometimes over great odds. So we're really pleased now to see so many volunteers come down here from all over the place and want to help us restore it. And someday what used to be a rail yard will be back to oak savanna and floodplain forest and wetland like it was probably in pre-settlement times. Toka hea che wakie